In all the world, there is no place more extravagant in its beauty and natural wonders than our own Yellowstone National Park. Stretching over 3,500 square miles in northwestern Wyoming and including narrow strips of Idaho and Montana is this wild, majestic dominion which the American people once refused to believe existed. The first white man to enter what is now Yellowstone National Park was John Coulter, a member of the Lewis and Clark expedition. Alone and on foot, he traveled across the Teton Mountains and entered the land of the Yellow Rock. The Indians had known about Yellowstone long before, but they regarded it as a bad place inhabited by evil spirits. They called it the land of the burning mountains. In 1810, Coulter returned to St. Louis with descriptions of the fantastic sights he'd seen, of tremendous waterfalls, boiling hot springs, and bubbling clay pots. For 2 generations, the people laughed at his stories and called the region Coulter's Hell. Finally, in 1870, a party led by General Henry Washburn set out to explore Yellowstone. This small, doubting group was overcome with astonishment at the many wonders. 2 years later, as a result of their findings, Yellowstone became the first national park for the benefit and enjoyment of the people. Now Yellowstone attracts over 1 million visitors a year. By Continental Trailways Thru-Liner, you travel over broad expanses of western plains, through rugged cloud-tipped mountains to Cody, Wyoming. At Cody, you board a Yellowstone Park bus and begin a fabulous tour of Wyoming's Wonderland. In the heart of the Buffalo Bill country, Cody takes its name from that American plainsman, scout, and showman. In remote ages, Yellowstone was the site of large volcanoes which poured out their fury of lava and molten rock. Then came the Ice Age, when mighty glaciers spread over the region, grinding down the volcanoes, shaping canyons, and creating the magnificent landscape you see today. Although Yellowstone was and is a land of fire, it is also a land of water. As you enter the park, Yellowstone Lake lies to your left. It is the largest in North America at so great an altitude, nearly 1.5 miles above sea level. From the fishing bridge, the angler can catch his limit of native cutthroat trout. Across the bridge, you enter upon the Grand Loop Highway, which circles the park in a figure 8. The welcoming committee is always on hand and always eager to mooch a dinner when the ranger isn't looking. Your first glimpse of the amazing thermal features is at the mud volcano, which explodes every few minutes. Nearby, the Dragon's Mouth sends out a flashing tongue of boiling water and steam. Over the hill by a footpath is an appalling mud geyser, the Black Dragon's Cauldron. One stands in awestruck fascination at this incredible earth monster that erupted in a quiet forest only a few years ago. The Yellowstone River flows northward through a valley, then suddenly crashes downward in a foaming waterfall. Farther downstream, the river again plunges in a glorious leap, now a 300-foot drop into the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. To many visitors, this is the most sublime view in the park. Looking out from Artist Point, the steep, bare walls of the canyon glow with resplendent colors, burning brightly or subtly changing with each passing hour. 1,500 feet below, the rushing waters of the river continue to deepen the gorge. At Canyon, as well as the other park hotels, many activities are offered: ranger lectures, dances, and especially horseback rides to scenic points. One of the great thrills is a real live buffalo hunt, Yellowstone style. Armed with loaded cameras and packing a box lunch, a small party breaks camp for an all-day trip. Around noon, the quarry is sighted, a herd of 300 to 600 buffalo. On film, they'll be the pride of any vacationer's scrapbook. Despite his tremendous size, the shaggy bison moves with a swift grace as the herd thunders off and disappears into the folds of the valley. From Canyon, you continue on the Grand Loop Highway to Mammoth, traversing en route spectacular Dunraven Pass at an elevation of 8,860 feet. Mammoth Hot Springs has been headquarters for the park since its opening in 1872. But Mammoth is best known for its amazing hot springs and terraces. In delicate architecture, the springs have built magnificent palaces. The active terraces are continually forming at about 5 inches a year. The exquisite coloring is from living algae in the water. Liberty Cap, now extinct, is an ancient hot spring cone, 37 feet high. These are the mysterious hoodoos, as seen through the Silver Gate, 4 miles south of Mammoth. The tumbled mass of travertine blocks was formed millions of years ago. The southern entrance to the hoodoos is marked by the Golden Gate, a canyon at the foot of Bunsen Peak. Sorry, no hitchhikers. Roaring Mountain is silent now, but visitors were once startled by a loud rumble from one of its steam vents. The pool looks almost good enough to drink. It's Lemonade Lake. Did somebody mention food? To approach Norris Geyser Basin with its clouds of malodorous steam, one has a feeling of entering the lower regions of Hades. The steam from the Black Growler vent has been as hot as 284 degrees. Continuing south, your highway passes Gibbon Falls and follows the beautiful Firehole River, which was named for a burnt-over hole or valley. And here are the Bobby Sox trees. Occasionally an elk will wander in from the nearby pastures, and you may be lucky enough to get a close-up. The majestic elk or wapiti is as high as a horse with a luxurious mane. This fellow weighs around 700 pounds. In the 3 main geyser basins between Madison Junction and Old Faithful are many strange and delightful sights. Shimmering, translucent, and deep with color, Morning Glory is one of the most photographed pools in the park. Surrounding Sapphire Pool are geyserite knobs, for which the Biscuit Basin was named. It seems impossible that any form of life could exist in this scalding water, yet the delicate colors of the basins are evidence of minute plants. The boiling springs are little geysers that lack the pressure to fully erupt. Some bubble and then lay quiet. Others churn furiously, like the punch bowl. The geyser might be called a hot water volcano. They are found in only two other places, New Zealand and Iceland. But Yellowstone is the largest and most spectacular geyser region in the world. Every geyser is different, depending upon its cone and underground plumbing. An eruption is actually a steam explosion. The molten mass of rock beneath the surface of the earth heats the water in the geyser's passages until it's turned into steam. But the cold water on top keeps the steam from escaping. Gradually, the water rises in the tube and begins to bubble over. Then the steam rushes out, pushing the water out with it. Thus, we see a graceful column spouting miraculously from the earth. Capricious and temperamental by nature, the geysers play at various heights, duration, and intervals. But some are predictable. Castle Geyser erupts every 12 to 16 hours. Riverside spouts at an angle every 6 to 8 hours. Daisy plays after an interval of 2 to 3 hours. And of course, the star of the show, Old Faithful. Its uniqueness has so captured the imagination of millions of visitors that its true character has become veiled in legend. Actually, the intervals between eruptions vary, but on an average, Old Faithful performs every 64 minutes. It plays to a height of 130 feet with a duration of about 4 minutes. Between 12 and 14,000 gallons of water are discharged during an eruption. At night, under soft illumination, the magic fountain creates a thrilling spectacle. The visitor to Old Faithful finds a charming resort village encircling the geyser mound. In the rustic elegance of Old Faithful Inn are spacious dining rooms, lounges, and porches. Nearby is the Ranger Museum and Old Faithful Lodge, where entertainment is presented each evening. Since first viewed by the Washburn Party in 1870, Old Faithful has never ceased to inspire awe and admiration. Hour after hour, day and night, under the bright summer sun and in the white solitude of winter, the grand old gal of Yellowstone is a continuing symbol of our first and largest national park. Eight miles south of Yellowstone's volcanic plateaus, you enter a region of mountain grandeur unsurpassed in sheer nobility and magnificence. In Grand Teton National Park, the rugged beauty of the Rocky Mountains reaches its fullest expression. There is even magic in the name. From the valley of the Snake River, the mighty Tetons rise abruptly to pierce the canopy of the sky. Mount Moran is the northern century of the picturesque Cathedral Group. Above the green forests, they ascend into the realm of bare rock and perpetual snow. The skyline culminates in the sharp pinnacle of Grand Teton Mountain, nearly 14,000 feet in elevation. Until recent years, the Tetons were unattainable. But now modern highways lead to their feet, and there must end. For although the mountains are a natural barrier to the inroads of civilization, the laws are designed to preserve this area in its wild and primitive state. There is wonder, solitude, and exhilaration in knowing the mountains intimately. From the shore of Jenny Lake or on a boat ride over its tranquil waters. Along the inner mountain trails, untold scenes and adventures await. More experienced climbers find difficult and challenging ascents to test their skill. The valley or basin through which you travel was given the name of Jackson Hole by the early hunters and trappers. It was the hunting ground of roving tribes of Indians before the settlers came in the middle 80s. Near the town of Jackson, an authentic Indian village, recreated by Reginald Lobin, illustrates a vanishing culture when the American Indian was the proud chieftain of the plains. The Jackson Hole country is still famous for its big game. It is the home of the largest elk herd in the world, numbering around 15,000. They share the valley with buffalo, moose, and mule deer. With the coming of the ranchers and settlers, a method of crossing the Snake River was necessary to transport supplies. Menner's Ferry, with its old cables and hand winches, is a rustic landmark of the pioneers' progress. At Moose, you will want to visit the little Church of the Transfiguration, reverent and beautiful in its simplicity. Modern development, which has come to Jackson Hole, has honored its unspoiled legacy. Tiny towns and dude ranches offer fun in the great out of doors. For excitement, the vacationer heads for Jackson for Western-style entertainment or a ride to the top of Snow King Mountain on a 4,000-foot chairlift. Well, howdy, partner. In Jackson's Old West atmosphere, dudes, cowboys, and sportsmen meet and mingle the year round. One cannot visit Wyoming's Wonderland without feeling an exaltation and humble reverence at the work of the master sculptor. This is truly the great adventure, to discover for yourself this majestic wilderness of ravishing beauty, unhurried by time. Continental Trailways through-liners bring Yellowstone and the Grand Tetons within easy reach of vacationers everywhere. As a welcome guest, you'll enjoy the finest comfort and service as you travel the highways of America at scenery level by Continental Trailways.